Welcome everyone. This is Whaleshares Hangout number 6. Today is October 9th, 2018, and we're joining up in the Whaleshares official Discord, as we do every Tuesday, to discuss the various updates and happenings in the Whaleshares ecosystem. This week, you'll see, as we do every week, we have the announcement post for this Hangout is put up on @CrazyKrista over on Whaleshares.io. So be sure to follow her if you're not already, and you'll get the updates on these weekly Hangouts. And if we have bigger announcements or things that are pre-scheduled, they'll be listed in there as the topics for the discussion each week. This week, as I had mentioned, we don't really have major updates on the platform side of things, but we do have the opening of the WLS trading on the DEX via RootX. This week, RootX yesterday, roughly on the 8th, opened up our gateway, allowing us to trade WLS out to the BitShares DEX using their platform. And the token, proxy token, is RootX.WLS over on the RootX market. And I did put up a post that kind of gives instructions of how to do this. You can simply through the RootX, if you go to rootx.org, they do have a section where you can actually do deposit and withdrawals, and it's all right there built into the platform. We can actually just choose Whaleshares and follow the instructions. But for those that need kind of a tutorial process of explaining how it works, I did put that post up on my blog that's @PowerPix, and you can go through and see the steps. It's very simple, very quick, very easy actually to actually transfer in or out. So if you were powering down this week and you now have liquid WLS, you can trade it out to the DEX and name your price to get it selling out of the market. We've seen a lot of activity over the first 24 hours. The price has gone anywhere from 13 plus BitShares as low as 2.5 or so. And I think it's floating somewhere, where is it floating now? Somewhere around 4 BTS right now is the trade. And we got a spread of only 0.9. So it seems to be finding a happy middle around 4 BTS, maybe 3-ish is the range right now, which is not bad. As more WLS is traded out by more users on the platform, we'll have better liquidity, which will allow it to really establish the price better. So, everyone shouldn't be too focused on what it is these first 7 days. Because remember, we did touch on this last week that given the maximum power down, even if all the accounts are powering down and stuff, you're not going to have a huge flood of liquidity out to the market. The way it's set up right now, we had that post by Jamie, which gave us pretty accurate reading on the amount of WLS being powered down, and it equates to around 7,000 WLS per week is hitting the market right now. That could increase over time, but it's still not a huge amount. So it'll take a week or two, maybe 3, for things to really settle in. So don't get too crazy about where it ends up. There has been some discussions in the Discord during the day today, talking about the value of Whaleshares and how it needs to play out. And I do personally agree myself. We do need a bit of a dip. It's just the way it has to be in order to kind of drive interest and investment into the platform and to holding the token. So we'll probably see a bit of a dip in that price, and then it can steadily increase from there. So don't be surprised to see that. I know we're all hoping that it stays up around 80 cents or $1 and stuff, but to be honest, as with most tokens, hitting the market in the beginning, you'll see that initial dip, things will level off, you'll have that liquidity, then people will buy in, and then the price starts to go back up based on the performance of the platform and user activity, things like that. So we don't need to focus too much on it. But like I mentioned before, if you do need that tutorial, you can head over to my blog. Also, RootX did put out their announcement today as well. I think that's on blockchain account. That's BLCKCHND, I think is the account name. And they also have that translated to Russian for since RootX is a Russian-based community. So you can find those tutorials are up there. Fav also did a video, which is pretty cool. So if you need more of a visual thing, you can watch Fav's video showing how it's done. This is both sending in and out of the platform. So plenty of tutorials are out there to help you if you need them. Of course, if you have questions, you can always ask us here in Discord. Any of the admins or mods, even some of the community members are more than happy to help and explain things and talk you through stuff. We do have a great bunch of people over in the Discord. That's really all we have for updates this week. There hasn't been any major changes to the platform. We did have an update to our RPC nodes this week, so there was a bit of an outage as that transition was happening. There's nothing major. There's nothing in the blockchain itself, nothing with the witnesses. That was just simply the core dev team actually updating those nodes. And you'll see some of the secondary services that we have that were connected to the original RPC nodes that might have some outages. I think even Whaleshares.info, the token information was down. I haven't checked this evening to see if it's back up, but they were also changing to the new node as well. So once all that kind of works its way out, everything will be back to normal, and all those secondary information portals, Whale D and all those will be back up and running as they were before. So if anyone has any questions about anything, about using the DEX, going through RootX, about the gateways, or anything in general, we can open it up to general questions and discussion now.
I do have a quick question.
Sure.
This is coming from the Hive. Is there any updates going on right now or since last night on the platform itself? Last night I had trouble posting using the cross-posting thing, Mazdax, and today I just had a little bit of trouble with seeing through my stuff when I am logged in.
Correct. Most of those issues were due to the change in that RPC node. There's also been some load balancing and other things that are being put in place by the dev. So as those certain updates happen, some of the services like Mazdax also, it has to speak through to our chain, just like it connects over to Golos and Steemit. So when those node things change, on the technical side of things, those other secondary platforms and services also have to update as well. So it's just a matter of how quickly those are updated as well before they're fully functioning. I honestly did not go back through yet. I haven't had a chance to check out Mazdax, or like I said, Whaleshares.info just to check if they're back up and running now. But anyone who might be working on those projects can always let us know as well.
Whaleshares.info was back up per earlier.
Okay,
so
awesome.
That it stayed.
Cool, yeah. And then kind of going along with that too, our good buddy Alex P. Morris has got Whalebot giving out the price feed information for WLS. You'll see that over in the bot talk channel, and you can simply just type Whalebot price WLS, and it'll give back the information it'll actually say it as rootx.wls because that's the actual name of the token as it is being traded on the DEX. So that information is available, so you can kind of watch the price there as well.
Anybody have any questions or comments, concerns? That's really the reason we have this hangout, is so that people can come on and talk about things that are important to them after hearing an update. So feel free to pipe in at any.
I can pipe in with another question if that's okay. Regarding the BTS, I know there's a couple of different things you can use now. Well, I'm of the mind to the few tokens I have there to exchange them to Whaleshares just to boost my Whaleshares account. Now I know you don't give out financial advice and advice on what to personally do with your cryptos and stuff, but would you be able to speak a little bit on that? Keeping your different shares in the bit shares or exchanging them and putting them into the Whaleshares, do you see benefits either way?
Well, I mean, a lot of that can kind of be up to you as far as, what you really want to do long term. Remember, if we also have to make sure we have that distinction between Whaleshares and WLS. The original Whaleshare tokens are not part of the new platform, but they are still good for an upvote from official fuzzy over on Steemit. So that's just the Whaleshare token itself. As far as WLS, at the moment, if you want to be able to increase your stake on the platform, which gives you your vote/reward power on the platform, then yeah, you would want to bring them over to the platform and power them up in that way. If you're just looking to kind of hang on to them as a long-term investment thing just to see how it goes, then you can always keep them liquid on the DEX as that rootx.wos token at the moment. So really, the choice is up to you as far as what you want to do. Um, and what your long-term objectives and goals are on the platform. If you want to if you want to increase your whale stake to give you a little more leverage on supporting um, either your own content or other people's content, then yeah, you'd want to bring it in and power it up. So it's really, I can't go too much further into pros and cons, I guess, as far as that.
And Crypto Hippie, I'm pretty sure that PowerPix just touched base on what you were wondering about, if there was any use for Whaleshares, the UIA anymore. The only usage for that right now is to claim a share drop from the August 1st snapshot. You can create an account for 200 Whaleshares, or you can still use them for an upvote on CMIT from Official Fuzzy at this time. Once they get turned in any way to any three of those services, they get retired. So essentially they're getting burned, and they won't go back out into circulation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And just so everybody's aware, I'm driving. I have to go get my kid, kind of impromptu thing. So if I disappear for a minute, that's why.
Yeah, and then just on the other side of things too, as far as referencing whaleshares.info and the different whale tokens that are available, um, you know, the the value that you see over there is normally real time. So I'm actually going over there right now just to check to make sure. But if anyone needs to find out about those tokens, again, Jefu and Bushkill and others on that side of the team have really done a great job of keeping that site up to date with information. And if you need to know, right now it's still to be determined, which means they're working on changing that RPC node over there. But yeah, so you can always go there to find information on the tokens so you know what you're using and what the value is and how you use them. It's a great resource over there. Long term, we'll have the whale book set up, and that will have even more information. Kind of Whaleshares.info is like the intermediary right now. That's filling in the gaps and giving that information until the whale book project is done. And that'll have a lot more information and stats and ways to interact and stuff when using the tokens and all that. But the values right now, even though they're not showing on Whaleshares.info, are still the same based on the mana of the account. But they are still good. You can still use them.
Yeah, so you can always peek into an account's wallet, find out what the account is that's doing the rewarding if you want to see real-time data at this point still. I know that not a lot of people are really using whale tokens, so this will become a bigger issue as more get into circulation and people start using them more often.
Yeah, true. And people do need to understand too, as the tokens are distributed, it is best to use them because there's only so many that we can put out, like distribute per week in order to maintain. It's kind of like the maximum number of tokens, assuming everybody used them at a full reward on how much that would impact the mana of the whale account that's backing them. So there's only a certain number of whale tokens from each one of those whales that can be given out. So until they're actually used and brought back in, like as a circular system, no more can be given out. So people need to make sure that as they're being rewarded for different contests and initiatives, that they are actually using them and getting the rewards. You can reward your own post, reward a friend's post, whatever, but keep them moving in circulation. Then that'll keep the value of those tokens up and the usability of those tokens up. Yeah, sure. I hear you.
Hey, Crypto Hippie was asking how long the claim period was for the second claim period. Did we open that back up October 1st? I can't remember the exact date. Was it October 1st?
Let me see. We had it listed somewhere. I think it was over in the official post, but if I remember correctly, it was around October 25th or something was the end of the second claim period. I need to actually go and check really quick, so I'm not giving bad information, but we did have it listed in that announcement. So let me just go check it real quick. All right, so the second claim period, yeah, ends on October 25th at 23:59:59 UTC, so just before October 26th, and that's all UTC time. So
in the official channel here, only channel, so it should.
all right, I just dropped the post there again in the event channel, so everyone can check that out just to know when the second share drop is running through. And we do, if anyone, is able to help us spread the word, we're trying to get, either through Twitter, over on the different BitShares communications channels and their different chat rooms and forums and stuff, help spread the word to let them know that, this second claim period is open to come in and claim. The more people we have claiming the tokens, the more, balanced and fairly distributed the tokens will be. And that's for everyone's benefit. We don't want to have it lopsided in any way. We want people who are, you know, rightfully the owners of these tokens through the share drop to come and grab them. Yeah, and Rexit just put the Twitter account for Whaleshares. Everyone can help over there too. I know Marshall's doing some work over on Telegram. You'll see him at Whaleshares Bodyguard. So Marshall Life, he's over there helping with a lot of outreach programs for Whaleshares and our connected platforms. So you can give him a hand as well. And here's the graphic that I put together on the second claim notice. You can always use that in your tweets or out to Facebook or the different BitShares forums to help spread the word. Awesome. Thanks, CM. Yeah, currently, let me check. I think we're looking around roughly half. Larry had just put a comment there asking about the unclaimed whale stake, and I think we're still around half has not been claimed, or a little over half. So we really are we're trying as best as we can different channels. I know Alex had put up a couple suggestions today over with the dev team to help us get the word out. It might, there are different ways it might actually cost a little bit through transactions that the main Whaleshares development group would have to take. But as far as maybe directly sending memos and contacting large holders in that claim, and to actually kind of directly message them through the BitShares decks as a way to get their attention and tell them to come over and claim. So we are working on different ideas, but having the community help spread that word is great for us. Yeah, if anyone's having issues hearing me, just let them know they can always disconnect and reconnect, because Discord has those peer-to-peer issues sometimes. Yeah, Sam, that was a great idea that Alex had put up earlier about just using memos to directly contact people. It would cost us a bit on the transactions, but not heavily. And if anyone wants to jump on voice, I mean, you're welcome to jump on voice and ask questions. I know this week we've had a lot of also people have been dropping a lot of suggestions and stuff over in the feedback channel, which is great. And I just want to make sure that everyone does know that the Whaleshares development team does go over there and check that out. So even though like I know I mentioned a lot in some of the shows and even the text that we're following kind of a pre-scheduled path of what we're doing with the platform, but we do take all these suggestions into consideration, even if they're not, immediately implemented. They could be implemented over time as we're still working on these next stages of the platform. So continue to give your feedback if you find any issues or things that you think could be make interacting with the platform smoother. Definitely drop them over in the feedback channel. Anything that has to do with long-term governance issues, please put all your information and feedback over there. We want this to be open. I know several people have been, DMing myself, some of the other mods and admins or people in the dev team directly. And we do prefer that a lot of that conversation stays in the open because, like we try to remind everyone that long term, this will be working as a DAC, and we want the community to be involved. So we don't really want things to be kept private as far as suggestions and feedbacks in the future. We want to keep those conversations and discussions open for everyone to get involved with.
I have another quick one.
I like.
I did mention this earlier on in the chat room, and somebody did say they might look into it. Is there any ideas on a interaction between Discord and the Whaleshares like the Genobot?
That wouldn't be something that happens directly with the platform devs, but I know there's a lot of witnesses and other developers who are working on the side with us that are coming up with that, correct? And as Woodsy is saying, there's the Afia bot, which is Blackman's project. So there are a lot of things that are coming online to kind of do notifications and interactions in that way. But the ones that work direct over to Discord or back and forth and things like that would not be something that's directly with the platform developers themselves.
Okay, to more for the platform itself. I hate mentioning other names in this server, but there was Steam Peak. Steam Peak has implemented a lot of things on their front end. Is there any ideas on the things they may have implemented to implement over here?
Yeah, a lot of those things, as far as data interaction, kind of say applications or modules and stuff, those things would come later in the development process. They're not, I guess you call it, they're not front burner things right now for us. They're more secondary back burner things. But, we've always talked about having a lot of open transparency kind of features built into the platform itself. So you'll start seeing more of those over time. I know once we find kind of a stability to the price, the market feeds and stuff as far as WLS goes on the DEX, you'll start to see not in your rewards and things like that directly. That'll always show as WLS, but over in your wallet side, we'll start doing things that show you a conversion to say USD to kind of help with that stuff. So you'll start to see more of these transparency things and general stats and stuff being built in, but they're going to be coming over time as we get to some of the next major advancements of the platform.
So basically, you've got a skeleton up right now, and you're basically going to start dressing it now over the next few months, type thing, years, yeah.
Correct. Yeah, we have a plan through. I guess that's the next couple of months, maybe 2 or 3 months, that we're trying to follow. And like we've mentioned before, we try not to really give out too much details of what's coming up front, because it seems like every time we make an announcement of something or Fuzzy says, this is something we really want to see and build in and do, next thing you know, it's popping up on other platforms, other people saying it's their idea and running off with it somewhere else. So we're trying to keep a lot of the stuff that we're doing kind of close to the chest right now. To get it to where we wanted it to be, where the dev team originally said this was our vision for the platform. So we're trying to stick to that path and get it to that point. And then, like I said, once we get there, we're always going to then open it up to the community, and the community will run with ideas from that. But we do have a lot of witnesses who are also developers who are working on different tools and stuff that are building them in. And you'll also find on the Whaleshares homepage, over on the right side, if you're on like a desktop view, you'll see the channel with other useful links. And as other members of the community, witnesses, devs, are making these tools, we're actually we're openly listing them and putting them on the website to share with everybody. We want to make sure that this is community driven. Any tools and services that the community builds, that everyone's like, this is awesome, we need this, we're using it, and we will add them to the website so people can come through. And yes, we do need WLD there. We do. If I'm not mistaken, that was on the what do they call it? I forget what the devs always call it. They say they've done the change, but it's waiting to be pushed out, I guess. Yeah. So we'll make sure that the community tools and things that are added are right there. We want to do things definitely different than the way we'll definitely do things differently they do on Steemit. We don't want to isolate ourselves, meaning the dev team that is right now, as the only people that do anything, or only things that is built by that team are listed. We want to make sure that this is out to the community, and community tools are also listed and available to everybody. And we're also very thankful. I know there's a lot of talk, behind the scenes too. We are very grateful for the people that are creating these different tools, even the witness tools over by Star Trail and stuff, and what the Crypto Chrono team's doing with WellD and all. So it's nice. Anyone else have any other questions about the platform or the gateway? Even in the text here, if anyone can just kind of type them. How many people have already tried using the gateway? And what's your experience with that? Positive, negative, good, bad, in between? Just kind of thoughts on the gateway process and how that's working out for everybody so far. Yeah, and the other update you'll see that happened during the day as far as the gateway. You won't see it in the tutorials and stuff, but actually on RootX, if you went to the deposit withdrawal tab on RootX, you'll see that the minimum transfer for either deposit or withdrawal, so in or out, is only 1 WLS. It was listed as 10 before, but it is now 1. Fav has made a video, so if you go to @fav, F-A-V, on Whaleshares.io, Fav does have a video showing the process. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think actually the blockchain post also has that as well. It's not a video, but it's a animated GIF, showing the process. Let me grab his link really quick too.
Okay.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I'm glad everyone's having a good experience so far with RootX. Everything they do seems to be very quick, easy, simple. There you go. Yeah, so that was the one guide, and then here's the one from blockchain. And Fav has his video. I did link on the bottom of my post. I do have the link over to Fav's video tutorial. So if you want the video one, you can grab that as well. I put that at the bottom of my post. So we got plenty of tutorials, but if you need help, any other questions, be sure to ask. There's plenty of people here in the Discord that can help you out. So, don't be shy. Everyone helps everyone here. Was someone jumping in on audio? If you had a question, feel free to ask.
I did, but then I scrolled up and saw an answer.
Okay, no worries. Like I said, it's not a super big update week, so it's more if anyone has any questions, we'll just answer them.
Are WLS tokens will be able to be on other exchanges soon?
That will be, for the most part, up to those exchanges themselves if they want to, because remember, with most most other tokens you see on other exchanges, they're not actually the token itself. They're pretty much similar to what you see in the DEX. They are proxy tokens um, that I guess they have a vague guarantee that they are equal to one of whatever the token is trading in or out. Just like we saw with a lot of the other bigger exchanges holding EOS tokens in the past, they were never really the actual EOS tokens like you're holding in your wallet. So all the different exchanges just have to say, yeah, we want to make it a trading pair on our own exchange, and they can go ahead and do that. I think we're going to need to get to a point a lot further down the road where we have a lot of liquidity and a lot of demand for the token. At that point, it becomes secondary to the platform. It also becomes maybe an investment, and then you'll start seeing it maybe pop up in more places. At the moment, it's kind of good that we only have one kind of proxy token as rootx.wls where we're trading, because that means all the liquidity is focused in one place, because we don't have a lot of tokens moving out of the platform right now. So in the beginning, it's actually probably a benefit that we're kind of in one place at the time. If we've had, for example, Open Ledger doing one, BitShares doing one, EasyDex doing one, we'd have that liquidity spread across 4 different proxy tokens, which would make it a lot more difficult to trade. Yeah, correct. Some exchanges do require even buy-ins to get listed and stuff. Um, they all have their own rules. Some you can get in a lot easier than others. Some you actually have to pay your way in, which is kind of ridiculous because they make money off the transactions internally anyway, but that's just the way it is. Once we get a little more stable, we will get ourselves at least listed on CoinMarketCap. That should be relatively easy to do. We're technically on both OpenLedger and RootX, which are two of the exchanges in their required list. So correct. Yeah, it's just a matter of since OpenLedger and RootX are pretty much the same thing, but the same token trades on both, so it's kind of a cheat. We can say we're on both of those exchanges anyway. So. Yeah, well, on the official application for CMC, believe it or not, BitShares doesn't seem to be one of the primary exchanges listed. It has the BitShares asset exchange listed, but not main BitShares. They have OpenLedger and RootX. It's kind of interesting.
Hi, PowerPix. I'm relatively new to the platform, and thank you for your time to bring up some of the answers that people were seeking about the platform. But just for my personal notes, may I know what is your role with Whaleshares? Sorry if it's been asked before.
Yeah, definitely. I am part of the larger Beyond Bitcoin group, which is kind of overseen by Official Fuzzy. And I act as the community coordinator across most of these platforms. And that includes, originally we started over on Steemit with the Whaleshares community. It includes my participation activities with BitShares, our EOS related projects, which are Telos and Worbly, as well as the Smoke Network and Whaleshares. So I'm kind of broad reached across multiple platforms that are under kind of the Beyond Bitcoin umbrella that we represent. I do a lot of the shows and live streaming events for most of those channels actually for BitShares, EOS Talk, Telos, and here on Whaleshares. And soon we'll have other ones for Worbly and Smoke Network as well. I am part of the Whaleshares dev and launch teams, so I'm working behind the scenes as well on some of that. So I'm kind of as Krista always says herself too, wearing multiple hats across a lot of these different platforms, like partner platforms, but we're really all part of it's kind of like a family of communities that we all work around. So thanks, Crypto Hippie.
Pretty
I
cool.
don't
Pretty
know if
cool.
that question was addressed to me or not, but mostly I'm just the community leader, I guess. Part of the witness group. I was part of the launch team, so spent a lot of time brainstorming ideas about what Whaleshares.io might look like. And recently, a lot of customer service, but that's always kind of been true. So, hello.
Yeah, this is really nice to get to know you guys. And crazy Krista, thanks for that account setup the other day. Really appreciate that. Power picks. It's a really beautiful thing when you're spread out across so many things, and I feel like we're in good hands with people like you guys. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. And the way Whaleshares has kind of always worked from the beginning, it's a process of bringing people from the community um, who are willing to even get further engaged. Even myself, when I first started, I really didn't have a place in Whaleshares, and over time I became a moderator of the original Whaleshares Discord and got more active in the community. Started partnering up with all the projects that Fuzzy was doing, and over time, my position across all these greater platforms kind of grew and unfolded. Um, Most of these things just kind of happened by my involvement in the community, which is the same way that Krista has been involved in things. The other mods that you see, Chucky, Steam Dan, our devs, Alex and Kenny and stuff. It's just a matter of people stepping up and saying, I can help do this. And, we all started from not really having any funding, coming towards us. We just all kind of stepped up and said, this is how we can get involved in the platform and find our place. Different people have, say, development abilities. Other people are good with social media, like we see with Marshall's team. Our newest mod that has stepped up is Jamie. Totally working without any guidance, just stepped up, started filling the role, customer service, and it was noticed by everyone in the community, and boom, mod position. It's just a matter of, we need this. And going forward, we talk a lot about saying there will be a day when Whaleshares itself, as it evolves into a greater DAC, will need a lot of different leaders that step up in different roles, whether it's we have a great group of witnesses, but we also need people who will be working on governance side of things. Absolutely, we need a lot of customer service people who are helping, because and beyond that, so we'll need people in development, governance, arbitration, community people who are helping with the interaction of not just onboarding people, but you need those kind of base foundations of rules and guidance, your code of conduct and stuff. And the core dev team now should not and does not want that responsibility long term. It needs to be spread out across the community. So, everyone who joins us on these hangouts, even like now, you're showing that you want to be involved. You're participating in this, and we see people in the Discord and over on the Telegrams and stuff that are getting involved and helping, just stepping up and helping. So we'll need more people like that as we go forward. Like you saw even from what I was saying, what I do, it's not just me, but Krista, a lot of the people on the team, we take on a lot of roles across a lot of different communities that we're associated with. We're all kind of like partner communities, pretty much. So we definitely, as we grow, need more people filling in these blanks. And as we become that greater DAC, it almost becomes, like you say in the government, a separation of powers. You'll need that dev team to be on one side, the community and governance on another side, the witnesses on their own side, and everybody's doing checks and balances to make sure it is operating as it should, is operating in the best interest of the community, not just in the best interest of a small group of people or a single person or a handful of people like you see over on Steemit and others. So, we're looking for these community leaders to just step up. We don't need you to ask, can you help do something? Just start doing it and let us know you're doing it. And that's good enough. And then, you'll start to fall into these different roles over time. So we do appreciate all the feedback and all the help that we get by the community, even up to this point.
Definitely, yeah. So speaking of Steemit, you mentioned that briefly. They seem to be having problems onboarding new users. The process of signing up is complicated. Is this something that Whaleshares is looking to fix? Maybe will there be a simpler way to do these things in the future in terms of new users signing up? What's the outlook on that situation for Whaleshares?
Yeah,
I am back home now. You want me to answer or you got it?
yeah, you can go for it if you want it.
So currently right now, there are a couple ways to ensure that you get a pretty much instant account. If you reach out to me, I have sign up WLS tokens that I can use to sign people up to. There are a couple other people in the community that are witnesses or just community members that have them as well. You can also, if you've already signed up and you're pending approval, you can come in here and give me your email address. I check them normally every morning. And we'll deal with every email address I have, and then usually around 30 to 40 ones that are pending that nobody even told me that I needed to check. But I think within the next week or so, it'll become more automated. So right now it's just trying to get through all the accounts that are pending right now.
Right, because I mean we did have that blend because the chain was share dropped. We had kind of a different onboarding process in the beginning where we opened it up mainly for people claiming the share drop first, and then kind of opened it up and eased it into more of the outreach program where people can onboard from Steem at other platforms, things like that. But as Krista did mention, there is a more automated system that's in the process of being developed, and once that releases, basically the issue comes down to verification because we're trying to make sure that the platform is not plagued by sock puppet accounts right from the beginning. So we're trying to do things where it's one account per any individual email, and Krista is going through trying to make sure things are verified and check out before they're dumped in. It's just a matter of verifying that there's a human behind the accounts in the beginning. And like you mentioned, there will be a more automated process that is coming out hopefully sooner than later, just for the sake of customer service and helping that out. But it would give more options for a person joining the platform to verify themselves as a human, to take that burden off of the team itself. So yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be too much longer where we're looking at the delays. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually takes up a lot of my time right now. And I know that Power Picks, I couldn't jump in when he was talking about it because I was driving, losing you guys, but whatever. I know that he was talking a lot about people taking initiative without any reward aside from just helping in the community. And I'm kind of proof that you don't have to have, mad skills to be able to help people and be in a position of some sort of power. Because I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to use BitShares a year ago. I still don't know how to code anything, but I'm willing to help and I'm willing to learn. So just keep that in mind as the community grows. It will grow. I'm thinking that we will probably be right around 1,500 people in this Discord by this time next week, with the rate that it's growing right now. The platform is probably, I don't know exact numbers because I'm not a coder, but Jamie could probably tell us exact numbers, but I would say that we're probably sitting at about 2,100, if not 2,200 people by now. You can also, automatically claim with just one Whaleshare. If you have problems doing that, let us know. I mean, if people are not claiming just for the simple fact that now I don't have any Whaleshares, they should come here and I will pay that, 9 cents or whatever to get them onboarded. There you go. Look at me. I'm pretty good at estimating accounts, aren't I? Look at me go.
You are spot on. Yeah. Well, that pretty much answers the little concern here. I think it's very easy for new users, especially those who are migrating from Steemit or other platforms, or maybe finding their second home here on Whaleshares. You can see how it's easy to just kind of jump in and right away start asking questions like, when is it going to be easy for my mom to sign up? and start using Whaleshares, we're going to have the same problem as Steemit does in terms of new signups and things like that. But it's good to hear that you guys have that in development, and it's part of your long-term vision, which is great to hear. And I'm really thankful that you clarify.
Right, and I can't say your name because I'm really horrible at it, but I will say that if somebody doesn't have Discord and can't make it in here to talk to me, I am on Steemit myself, so the same name, and they can reach out to me on there, and we can find another way to make it work. I know that that has been particularly a concern within the Whaleshares Africa community. A lot of them don't have Discord. I also can be messaged on Telegram if there's a problem there. Or you can just, shout it out. Somebody will let me know on Telegram if I'm needed in the official Whaleshares Telegram there. So I'm normally here though. It's easier if I just stay here.
To touch on what you said, Krista, if anybody needs Whaleshares to create their accounts, feel free to message me. I have some I can be willing to donate.
Well, that's awesome. And usually there's, as long as people come in here pleasantly and don't say, "Where's my account? You screwed something up." Everybody's pretty receptive to helping around here, not just myself. We have a great team. Anybody who is yellow in here should be able to point you in the right direction at any time. If they don't have an answer, they can probably find one. Same thing with me, if an answer exists. So, it really is a great team. It's a great community to be in. Even people that are white white in color, not in race, white in color in here, are able to usually answer a lot of the questions that you might have. So many people here have been part of the community and the platform, many people even before it launched in testnet.
Now, there you have it, folks. Contact Krista if you have any problems. But yeah, for the record, Krista and everyone else, you could just call me Gally. That's good enough. But I was also wondering if if I needed to create extra accounts, say for a project or like a proxy account to do whatever, say it's a witness account or something else, would I always need to contact you to get the token, or is it possible to actually get these WLS, what are they called, sign up tokens myself? How does that work?
They're not actually for sale. So what you would do instead, I won't be creating, I'm going to try to avoid creating double accounts, witness account, project accounts with the tokens themselves. But all you have to do is after you sign up, just DM me the email address and I can approve it in that way. The only reason why I'm trying to do that is I only received X amount of the sign up WLS tokens because they're only a temporary patch. They were just meant to kind of get it through so we could onboard more people. So just whenever you sign up, just DM me, give me the email address, and if it's tonight, I can check it tomorrow morning.
So this way users can pretty much not worry and be confident that their email sign-up process can be sped up if they contact you, and you can sort of like review it and approve it if necessary to speed up the process, correct?
Absolutely, because at this point, it's pretty backlogged. So basically I'll just go through. Normally I have about 10 a day that email me or send me their email address. I will go through and approve those ones. And then I will go through and just on the day that I left off, just make sure that nobody applied twice and just accept in that way. So it's not very mentally exhausting, but it is time consuming to do it. So, and we're limited to the amount that we can prove a day and blah, 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 blah. So.
Okay, sounds good. Well, if you guys ever find yourselves hands full of these backlogs, just throwing it out there, do let me know. Maybe I can help out sort of the mail in the future.
Well, that's very kind of you, but hopefully you guys will come here next week and I'll be like, hey, we're automated as far as sign up goes. And then I'll just be answering other questions instead of spending hours per day on this, which I'm not mad about it, but it is time consuming. It does take away from other things I could be doing, which is perfectly fine. You know, I love this community, so whatever I can do to help, yeah.
Right. So automation is something that we definitely need, I think, and it'll make a lot of people happy, including yourself. But I personally do appreciate your time taken to take care of these issues in the meantime. So another question I wanted to ask you guys. I don't know if you can pitch in on this a little bit, but uh, basically the liquid reward. Like there were a few folks out here that I shared Whaleshares with. I told them that you need to get on this platform. It's got potential, especially a few of the dApp developers that I know they're looking to create new, original, experimental things on the Graphene chain. We're looking at Steemit, the Steam blockchain. But now I told them about Whaleshares. The first question they asked me is the utility token WLS. Will it ever potentially, in the future, have a 50-50 reward split just like Steemit? I mean, can people expect to earn from this and rely on it sort of consistently, just like on Steemit? Will it ever reach that point?
Hey, PowerPix, I'll let you address that if you're okay.
Yeah. In the beginning, at least for our planned development schedule, it would remain as is. The long-term vision that Fuzzy had put together for Whaleshares was, instead of things like either delegation or that 50-50 rewards and things like that, is giving people the ability to, or the incentive to, build their whale stake as not only an investment in the platform, but as a way to then back whale tokens and other incentive programs that can then be used to support communities and ways to fund projects and people in that way, instead of directly just through a liquid coin. But with the way the power down is set right now, it's on a sliding scale. I'll have to go grab the graphic again if we all need it, but over time, the amount you'll be able to power down will increase. It's kind of like on a curve scale going down over time. Yeah, there you go. That's the one. So, you'll be able to have more liquidity over time. In the early months, it's just a matter of kind of teaching people a new mentality of not just using it as an ATM, but using it as a long-term stability, say, income platform, if you want to look at it that way. So it's not just get in, post, get out. It's a matter of getting in there, building your stability, building your stake, building your wealth, and being able to spread that and share it, longer. Basically, the more you have, the more you can give back, and you actually earn more by giving. So it kind of creates its own feedback loop, which is positive to all the users. Now, once we get to a point where the platform is turned over to the community as a DAC, of course, at that point, the community basically makes that decision of how the platform is going to evolve from that point on. So there could be a time later on where the community is like, well, we've done it this way and yeah, it works, but we still want liquid. And then it goes through the community governance process, and then if that gets approved through the community governance, it goes over to the dev team. The dev team makes the changes, then it hits the witnesses, and through the consensus of the witnesses, it gets approved in, and the code gets changed through a hard fork. So it could definitely happen long term, but that's not the initial vision of the dev team as we have it right now. But anything can happen once it gets turned over to the community in a couple of months.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, and this is the thing that I wanted to know. If it's possible, code-wise. Excuse me, it's kind of noisy here. Just give me a sec.
Hey, we both have kids too, so we don't care. Go on.
I'm actually at a hospital right now, and my wife's about to deliver a child in a matter of hours. So.
Oh, so exciting.
Yeah, I know. Thanks. But yeah, I guess many people just wanted to know if it's a possibility, if it's if the code is even capable of having something like the 50-50 reward split implemented, whether people go through the governance decision or not, whether it would be possible or not. But there you go, guys. Many of you have heard it just now from our picks that it is possible if the community decides that they want it, they need it. It's possible, right? So
Definitely. And over the next couple of months, even as the platform itself is evolving, we're also going to see as new members come in and the whale tokens um, that are, you see a lot of the whale accounts that are backing these tokens now. As you see this concept start to mature, and we'll have the whale tank program coming back, probably I would imagine within the next month, you'll see that whale tank return. And that was an initial program that ran over on Steemit that was supposed to have multiple whales backing that. Consider it like a hangout, almost like the Shark Tank on TV, and people could pitch their projects in community, whether it's say like an on-chain or community kind of thing with the platform, or a real-world project that's backed by the token. The whales could come in and support that, right? By giving tokens that the people can then use on their posts, and they create funding that way. And that concept has been basically evolved and matured and kind of really blossomed over here to the Whaleshares platform, and it's part of the backbone of what the concept is all about. So we have multiple whale tokens now supported by a lot of different whale accounts, and more will come in over time. So we're going to see this kind of play out, this initial vision of cross-chain tokens and cross-chain rewarding and all this kind of synergy stuff that Fuzzy had envisioned. We're going to see this mature over the next couple of months. And as the value of the WLS token gets established, that will then establish the value not only of the platform currency, but of the whale tokens themselves and how much funding they can give people and spread across projects. And once we see that happen, I think the community will have a better idea of maybe what that vision is or how it looks and how it will work and how people will be able to earn from their participation in the projects and the platform itself. And then we'll have a kind of a better gauge of saying, yes, this idea fully worked as envisioned, or maybe it is lacking and you need the 50-50. But it's hard to kind of say, at least from our side as a dev team, knowing what we kind of have as that plan and what Fuzzy, really wanted this to evolve to become, until it gets to that point where we actually see it happening and everything has value and projects are being funded. I think it'll be easier for us all to make that decision a couple months out once we see it kind of get to that point.
okay, yeah, that clears most of it. That's great to hear. Actually, that's very good to hear.
Yeah, hopefully one week we can actually get Fuzzy to kind of jump in on one of these Tuesday hangouts. I know a lot of the people who've been with the Beyond Bitcoin communities and Whaleshares for a long time have heard Fuzzy speak in various hangouts, whether it's over in BitShares or EOS Talk. But I think it'd be great. Maybe we'll invite him for next week and see if he can jump in. And I mean, Tuesdays are technically his family day and his day off, so we might have to twist his arm a bit, but it would be cool to have him maybe jump in and maybe for 10 minutes or so just kind of address the community again who haven't heard it, kind of give his side and his vision just so people understand it.
Yeah, that definitely be nice to have him coming on here and explain greater details. So another thing is, while I have this moment here, I noticed that there's no reputation scores or anything like that on Whaleshares. And again, of course, inevitably comparing it to Steemit. Is this something by design? Will it come in later, or does it even matter, the reputation scores from your Whaleshares team perspective?
Yeah, technically the platform it still has a reputation in the code behind the scenes. It's just not visible up front. Reputation is something we kind of wanted to do away with because you're starting to judge people on a number or a value that can be gamed. You don't necessarily earn reputation just by posting anymore. You can actually use bid bots and all kinds of weird gaming platform, gaming things over on Steemit to boost your reputation artificially. And of course, even the accounts who are a little bit obnoxious over on Steemit and have been flagged down to a 0 rep, they still continue to post. They're still out there. Things are still seen. So it almost became this weird kind of arbitrary value that really didn't have a meaning. Long term, I can't say too much as far as some of the development plans of how that works in, but reputation itself or a concept behind it will be evolved in a different way on Whaleshares. So you'll see a return of different values, but not as a reputation value. That's kind of really as far as I can elaborate on that.
Way to be elusive. Couldn't have
I
done
know
it better myself.
it's tough because like the dev team has kind of really agreed not to really leak out what we're working on and how things are evolving until we get to that point. Just for the simple fact I mentioned before, we see a lot of ideas that we speak about or Fuzzy talks about being taken. First they get attacked, downvoted, attacked, dragged through the mud, and then months later we see the people who were doing that actually took the idea, put some spin on it, and called it their own idea. So we kind of dance around some of those topics as we go through development, but you'll see, uh, I guess, a different incarnation of that concept over on Whaleshares, but it won't just be like, here's your rep and you're valued against a rep. It won't be anything like that.
And I think that
Okay.
if we both bug Fuzzy separately, Steam Power Picks, like it was your idea, no, it was my idea, we can get him to come next week. We'll just both bug him.
Yeah, that'll be cool. We'll tell him we won't stop nagging him until he just agrees to come on.
Yeah, he knows I'll get annoying if he ignores me, so no secret there. So does anybody else have any questions or no?
No, if the question could be repeated in the chat there, I guess, because I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but also doing the recording, so I might have missed it. Oh, strategy for dealing with spammers. Yeah, see, that's something that we really need the community to get involved in that as well. So we definitely want to open that discussion. It's hit a couple times. I know the dev team group, we'll sometimes joke and say, well, if all of us ganged up, we have enough power to squash it out, but we don't want to act as censorship players on the platform. Like that's not really the purpose. Most of us who are either on the dev team or have the bigger accounts, we want to, we're trying to support those whale tokens. So our actions have to be more positive, supporting the community through those tokens for participation. We don't want to go around being the police and flagging people ourselves. Because honestly, it's not really our role. It's not what we're supposed to be doing. The community is supposed to be, say, coming together with rules or guidelines on spam and saying, this is how we want to handle it. And there's always that fine line, that kind of gray area that we all speak about, saying, the line between spamming because it's intentional abuse on the platform, or people putting up posts that some people say, well, this is spam and this is a shit post, but who are we to judge what post is a shit post versus a valid post or quality content? Because remember, some of the vision of the Whaleshares platform, it's not a blogging platform, it's supposed to be a social sharing platform. So we want people to be able to share things, but we also run into those issues of what is plagiarism, what is copyright infringement or intellectual property, infringement, where there are a lot of things where just because you cite a work or give credit to the author, in the United States, at least, we have laws that say you technically still cannot do that because any of these crypto-backed platforms are considered commercial use. So you still can't use a person's photo or even large segments of their text from an article if you are making money off of it. So these are these weird, muddy gray areas that I think the majority of these new crypto-based platforms are going to be dealing with. I've made comments myself saying that honestly, as much as we want all this decentralization and blockchain stuff and open governance, I almost have a feeling that in the long run, a platform that's more of a hybrid, that you're decentralized based on where your data is stored across the multiple nodes and the blockchain and the witnesses and stuff, but there will be a centralized governance controlling the platform, kind of like adding crypto to Facebook. Facebook plays by the rules of copyright, and people, there's a lot of censorship issues. You'll say, on topics they don't want to see, which is bad. But at the same time, they will stamp out plagiarism and spam and cancel and close accounts and things like that. So I almost have a feeling that we're going to see some kind of hybrid of a decentralized slash centralized, say, authority kind of platform that comes together being the dominant one that wins. Just because, I mean, how do you deal with these issues? Like we've spoken in the past saying, if our platform, Whaleshares, Smoke, Steemit, doesn't matter, starts allowing intellectual copyright and intellectual property rights stuff being violated nonstop, and saying, well, it's a decentralized platform, which means you can, it doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. That's more of an anarchist platform. You still have to have rules and governance. And if you don't have that, when the different governments start imposing regulations on cryptocurrencies and what this is, the greater issue becomes, we can't track down the individuals. We can't stop the individuals because everyone's anonymous and hiding behind aliases. But they can pretty much crack down and say, well, these platforms, due to these issues, they can basically declare them illegal and say, in the United States, these specific platforms can no longer operate. Google will pull them for search engines. You won't be able to pull them up. Your service providers will have to shut them down. And then that becomes true censorship. So it's a tough issue that we all need to discuss and figure out. How do we control the members who are spamming, blatantly plagiarizing stuff, and they don't give a shit about it, They're doing it as a way to make money, and they don't really care, or they don't see the long-term viability of a platform. So I don't know. I mean, the short answer is I don't know, and the community needs to come together and help us put together the solution to this. Do you want a community-based, so like we have a development fund that comes out of the rewards pool, right? And it's keeping 5% of the rewards pool to go towards development. Long term, do we want a 1% pool that is like an arbitration or spam defense pool that's sole purpose in life is to go after accounts that spam and flag them, to remove rewards? Or does that become something that, well, now that's an automated censorship that the platform is sponsoring? So I don't know where the answer is, and the community really needs to step up and give some ideas of these solutions, and then the community votes for it and says, this is how we think the platform should deal with spam or plagiarism, because it's not the devs team's purpose to be the police of the platform. So it's hard to even give a short answer versus a long answer. I know in Steemit they have the different bots that are running around trying to do it and check it, but at the same time, that might be stopping plagiarism of a post, but it's not stopping the people that are doing those chain comments, like in the replies, where they have a bunch of sock puppet accounts that are going right behind and automatically voting up comments, and it's just a chain of comments being voted. How do you stop things like that? Can an automated process do that? I don't know.
If I may.
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm outside right now. Might be noisy, sorry about that. But Power Picks, you mentioned something really interesting there. And you said that Whaleshares is not a blogging platform. It's a content sharing platform. What are the differences? How would you define? Why is it not like? Why would people not treat it as a blogging platform? Because when signing up, clearly it's not there in terms of marketing and presenting it as such. So many are migrating with that Steemit mentality. It's a blogging platform. You have to blog. What's the key difference there? If you can elaborate, please.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, part of it's in the name as far as Whaleshares. So I know Fuzz wanted to make sure that sharing is in the name of the community and in the platform when it was built. Some of that information about what the platform is just in the general announcement post and the community as it is evolved over time. As far as marketing it that way, once we get to kind of this final place that we're trying to get the platform to be, it will be, even though it's very different right now from Steemit as far as the operational side of things and the way it functions, it will be even more different when we get to this final step. And at that point, we plan to actually kind of do a full court press on marketing efforts and things like that to kind of get the recognition of what it is. And it almost, as the platform changes into to this final version, it will almost become more apparent that it is more about content sharing, more than full-length blogging. But that is something that, when Fuzz has spoken about the platform on different Hangouts and stuff, he's made it very clear that he wants people to be able to share, almost say if you're on Instagram, you take a photo of something in your personal life and you put 1 or 2 sentence comment to go with your photo. We want the platform to allow for that, where that's not considered a shit post, that you're sharing a family photo, or maybe you went to a museum for the day and you share a couple pictures of the museum and that's it. That's part of the content sharing. We don't want it to be where you have to write a semi-novel post that takes 20 minutes to read in order to be considered quality content. Fuzz had also mentioned many times that he wants it to be evolved to a point where people can share, and this is where that gray area is coming in, that we're trying to figure out how we manage this. But you might come across things in other publications or the real world saying, yeah, I want to share this information that I just learned. Maybe it's about technology, maybe it's about science, maybe it's about life or whatever. And you want to be able to share that. So part of the problem is now, how do you properly cite that, and what content can technically be shared on a commercial platform like ours? So these are some of the things that still need to evolve over time. But we want people to think in terms of not so much like a WordPress blogging platform like Steemit, but think of it in terms of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, some of the other ones where you can share short content as much as you can share long content. And that's really the vision that he had for it.
Yeah, so just to go back to the fighting spam thing, we do have a room here. As long as you have, actual backup as to why it's plagiarized, I will check into anything that gets put in that room. I hate flagging people, but I don't want there to be plagiarism all over the platform either. As far as spam goes, I have left a couple warnings to people, like, stop gaming the reward pool. That's more my concern. Every time that somebody does purposely spam, I'm not saying write a short article or even ask a question. There was one that was just like an emoji blown up, and that was the whole post. Doing that, in my opinion, is spamming when you're doing it 4, 5, 6 times a day. So I will definitely look at stuff and say, yeah, don't do that, or I will flag it. I will give a warning beforehand, but that's just because I care about the community. I care about the chain. I don't want people taking stuff out of your pocket.
Right, and we just saw like an example of that just go up. I think that was Jamie who just posted that. And that's some of the issue. Like when we see people that are intentionally posting something that, say, it's not even theirs. Maybe it's just an image they grabbed off the internet, and they're, say, self-rewarding it, and they might have other accounts that come in behind it and reward it as well, almost in a circle, or start a chain of useless one-word comments and then get voted up, max percent on the rewards, right? So things like that, you have to start considering, okay, that is definitely spam. They're doing that with the intention to kind of pull rewards out of the system with adding no value to the platform itself, no value to the community. It has nothing to do with discussion on any kind of topic that people are engaging in. And that's where the community says, okay, we have to draw the line. We have to draw the line on this, that, that's definitely spam. That's intentional spamming and abuse of the platform itself. And like Krista just mentioned, that takes away potential rewards out of everyone's pocket. And the people who don't seem to understand that or don't see the value in not taking rewards out of other people's pocket, for their own selfish means, that kind of has to be dealt with. We saw it run rampant over on Steemit. Yeah, Cotton, exactly. That's why flagging is good. But but it has to be a community effort. Like we don't want to have Whaleshares become a platform that instigates flag wars, where people are then flagging in return just out of spite. That's one of the reasons you see where we say that flagging is the equivalent of 3 times your mana as far as if you were rewarding. So it doesn't necessarily take away 3 times the mana from your account, but it means that your negative reward, so your downvote, your flag, is 1/3 the power as if it was a positive reward. Um, so it will take more effort from the community to squash out people who are doing blatant abuse. So if you're going to flag someone, and say your full reward vote for someone would be 10 whale share or 10 WLS, sorry, it will only be when you flag someone with the power of 3.33, right? So it'll take more effort by the community to start flagging and squashing out some of this stuff. So yeah, flagging is good, but it needs to be a community effort. I remember back on Steemit, we would have purge nights with Stellabel, and it was fantastic. They would do some research, they would find accounts that they could definitely prove were sock puppet accounts, like this whole circle jerk thing that they built, and she would organize once a week. We would have purge night, and everyone would just jump in as community effort. There'd be 20, 30, 40 people jumped in, and we'd have a list of accounts that were doing these intentional spams and the reward pool raping, they were calling it. And it would have a list of associated posts that were pending payout, and we would just all go and flag them until we had literally no more, voting power on our accounts to flag anymore. And we would help knock out those accounts and kind of send a warning to them saying, if you're going to do this, the community will fight back. It started to become more difficult over time as some of those accounts increased in power and you could not knock them out to zero. And then at the same time, you started having, and this is the part that really sucked about it, you started having a lot of, say, larger accounts that started voicing their opinions saying, and this is where, again, the definition of a decentralized platform does not mean anarchy. There's a difference in the definitions, but people would say, this platform is decentralized, they can do whatever they want. You don't have the right to flag them by saying that their comments are spam or whatever, right? And then those larger whale accounts started attacking the people that were taking part in these purge nights and then zeroing out their legitimate content posts that they could have taken hours to put together. That was all original content, and just out of spite, starting the flag war and going against those people and flagging their content to zero. So, it's a matter of how do you find that balance where we don't want to start flag wars out of spite. A flag for a flag, it kind of defeats the purpose. So, if the community kind of rises up together and says, we see the abuse, we're not going to allow the abuse, and the community comes in and says, okay, we're going to deal with this, and people are flagging in unison only on specific accounts that are intentionally spamming, and it doesn't become a spite for spite thing, then that's fine. But the community does need to kind of step up and do this. It's not something that the dev team, because remember, there's no Whaleshares Inc. It's not like Steema. There is no centralized company behind this. It's just a group of developers that were putting this together and getting this out there and doing the best we can to give a better platform to the people, right? So the community really needs to come together and do this and say we're not going to tolerate it and take action on it.
Well, and also, whether or not you're giving a warning before you're flagging, it's always better to just give somebody an explanation of why you're flagging them. That way, nobody feels like, well, maybe that person just doesn't like me. Well, no, I don't like your behavior. The one person that I had warned, I said, consider yourself warned. And the last couple posts by him have been more thought put into them. And I appreciate that because I've viewed his post and rewarded his post on Steemit before, so I know that he's capable of it. So it was kind of just like, dude, I am watching you now, so I mean, I think that we all can improve on the way that we, make posts. That should be true all the time. And it does take the community to say, we're accepting this or we're not accepting this, or we're kind of on the fence about this. It cannot be something decided. Our dev team is a very small group of individuals. The launch team, the people who meet every week, it's not like this huge, there's not like 100 people behind the scenes working here. So it's important to remember that, like, we will try to fix problems that we know how to fix, but we can't fix every problem. And eventually, maybe we won't be as involved for you to turn to fix problems. Coderin, as far as you're saying with the whale account, there have been different ideas tossed around with that. You know, I'm not really sure. That's something like PowerPick said. We don't have a short answer to this question. It's something, you know, if you guys have suggestions about it, maybe post on your own blog about it. Note some of the things that you have seen that have been going on that make you, you know, worried that they won't be able to be dealt with in the future, and let people start tossing around ideas on how to deal with these things, because maybe somebody has a better solution than I can come up with in my head. So any other questions? PowerPix has been recording for an hour and a half now.
Christy, please, I noticed that whenever I want to vote, I need to log in with my posting key. But if I want to vote for a weakness, I then need to change my keys to active. Then I go back and forth with my keys. It's kind of stressful.
That's for security reasons. If they had you log in with your active key all the time, then somebody could go in and start powering down your account and move your funds around on you. So your posting key only allows you to post and vote, and anything higher than that requires your active key. Those are the only two that I normally use. Once in a while, I'll need my owner key for something, but very rarely.
What I'm trying to say is that most of the time I go back and forth on the keys. So I think that part is kind of stressful, but it's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, alternatively, if you feel safe doing it, you can have a password manager store both keys for you. I don't, but that's everybody's prerogative. It's for your safety, though, really. You know, if one key did everything, then many sad people would exist.
Hey, Crazy Crystal, this is Reggie. Thank you so much for helping me with the account. I wanted to ask a question about tagging. I realize when you make a post and it goes live, it's impossible to change the first tag. So is there going to be a time whereby it's possible to edit the first tag? And if you can tell me why it's impossible to edit the first tag now.
Because when you tag something, it is putting it in front of the URL for the post. So I mean, that's the way that I understand it anyways. When you tag something, it goes into a category that also reflects on the URL. Just like if you were to change a title of a post, it would change it in the title the way that it looks on your blog, but it would not change the URL. The URL would still read the original title. I don't think there's any plans to change that in the future. So I would just be very conscious of what you're tagging, and use relevant tags, and you shouldn't have a problem.
Yeah, I don't think you can change that later, because changing that later would be changing the blockchain.
Anybody else?
Yeah, because if we're done with the main topics, I could end the recording, and then we can just kind of jump out to a standard after party for just questions and answering and casual talk.
Works for me.
Okay, cool. All right, everyone. So we'll wrap up for this week. This was Whaleshares Hangout number 6 for October 9th, 2018, and we'll catch you next Tuesday.